Hey everyone, welcome back to Liquid Lunch. It's a Woman Wednesday here. We appreciate you tuning in on Biz TV and also Facebook Live and joining us here on a Woman Wednesday. I mean, it's my pleasure. I don't get to talk to beauty pageant contestants and accredited activists, but you know what? You're in for a treat right now. As joining us here is Miss Karyn Turk. She's a former Mrs. Florida. She's an activist and a very distinguished political commentator on Behind the Headlines. She joins us here today on Liquid Lunch. Karyn, how are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you? So glad to be here. Thanks for having me on again. I love Women Wednesday.
Oh, so do I. I love hosting today for sure. And when I have a beauty pageant contestant like yourself, it makes my job easier, Karyn, for sure. Now, Karyn, obviously you've just announced recently you're joining the Freedom Tour USA, and you'll be speaking at the March on Washington coming up this Saturday, the 17th of October. If you can share with our audience, what does that entail?
I'm getting chills just talking about it because I'm so beyond blessed and honored to be a part of this. This is an organization at 1776foreverfree.com that has launched the Freedom Tour. And the Freedom Tour has crisscrossed the country from California to Florida, stopping along the way. I actually picked up on the tour in Fort Pierce, and now I'm going to be heading to Washington, D.C. with them this Saturday, where I'll be speaking on stage and telling my story and why I'm so passionate about freedom and our Constitution. And I'll be joined with lots of other people that aren't, beholden to a political party, but believe that Donald Trump is the right choice for president on this election and celebrating freedom and equality in America.
Listen, you said it best right there. The president, despite any imperfections he may have, you know what is the best choice on November 3rd? Because the opposite side, Karyn, as we all know, doesn't believe in law and order, doesn't believe in quality of life anymore for us. They want to defund the police. It's identity politics. It's just a toxic, toxic environment, and that's what the left has become. Karyn, without question, you've been in the news cycle recently. If you want to share with our audience as best as possible, I'll give you the floor without being too invasive. Why is your story one that you want to share with the audience, and also coming up this Saturday of the March on Washington when it comes to freedom and the recent events concerning your mother?
Well, my freedom was stolen from me the same way that my mother's freedom was stolen from me. And it really made me aware that we have a real problem with constitutional rights in America. And my mom, gives me chills about the Freedom Tour and what I'm doing is my mom was a civil rights activist. She marched on Washington with Dr. King. And my parents were Democrats, but over the years and seeing the changes in the Democratic Party, they became more conservative in their older years. And my mom was the victim of the guardianship system in this country. And what people don't know, and what I didn't know venturing into my own story, was the guardianship system is incredibly corrupt. There are lawyers that are there for sport and profit that are taking away people's rights every single day. My mother was neglected horrifically in a nursing home. And when I stood up and fought against that, I was actually taken down by people that didn't want me to speak up. And I spent 30 days in a federal prison after pleading to a misdemeanor charge, a maximum security federal prison. So I lost my rights for 30 days. And at the time, taking a plea bargain for a $17,000 misdemeanor for somebody that had no criminal record when I was just trying to take care of my mom and do the right thing seemed like a good idea. But in hindsight, I now realize that I was a target, and I was a target of a very corrupt system that's taking away people's rights. And I'm going to be part of the change. So you know what? That 30 days gave me a lot of time to reflect, and now I'm fighting back.
Karyn, one of the things that's really irresponsible by the liberal media, and of course we shouldn't be surprised because this is what they major in, as they say. Some of these headlines, looking at, for example, quote, the Palm Beach socialite charged with scamming the elderly. I mean, that is just so irresponsible, because I was able to look at your story a little bit online. What's been the feedback or sort of the outpouring of support for you since this happened?
Isn't it insane that the media wanted to talk about that, and they wanted to talk about me, misappropriating money that I was trying to, keep from a nursing home that was neglecting my mother. My mother died with 9 bed sores that were down to her bones on her body, with my hands tied behind my back and my children's hands tied behind our back, because the guardian was the only one who could intervene at that point. And that was never a part of the narrative. It's incredible how irresponsible the media is every single day. It's not just my story. We have a real problem in America with free speech being suppressed, and with the media taking this left-leaning perspective where they will do anything to smear a conservative, censor our rights, and go ahead and contribute to the cancel culture, which is such a problem today. And I'm a perfect example of that. They wanted to cancel me, and they haven't.
You know what? And I'm glad that they have not. And listen, I applaud you for your activism and what you're doing here. Just for our audience, very briefly though, Karyn, when you talk about the court-appointed guardian system, is this something that has been in effect in the state of Florida for a certain amount of years? What can you share with our audience about that specific type of arrangement structure?
This is a national problem, and I would encourage your audience to watch a great documentary, which is on Amazon Prime. It's a little hard to watch, but it's called The Guardians, and it will enlighten everyone of how this system takes advantage of our elderly all over our country, in particular in states where there are judges that are appointed via the election process. Because when we have an election process and the judges are appointed, they become beholden to lawyers and other people that get them elected. And unfortunately becomes a system that is just riddled with corruption, with very little oversight. And the states are not doing a good job. So part of what I want to do is I want to become part of the federal change for this mission, because we have to take federal action to make sure that our states are doing an appropriate job to protect our elderly. And right now they're not. The court-appointed guardian system is something that is so beyond irresponsible in my state of Florida and in many other states, where all it takes is a 40-hour class for somebody to become a professional guardian. So, you can have somebody who's a nail technician that says, you know what, I want to make a little bit more money. I'll go take care of an elderly person. And very quickly what happens is you have these litigious lawyers who, sue for sport and profit, who take these guardians under their wings and basically create this money-making scheme where they fleece someone's estate. And this happens every single day all across America while taking away the rights of the elderly and their children. And with, children who are siblings, a lot of times they'll pit the siblings against each other. They'll create a toxic environment where they fight and ultimately they get control of the estate. And in cases like mine, in cases of only children, they began now prosecuting them. And it's a template for prosecution. I'm not the only one.
Now, Karyn, very quickly, has there been any backlash to you when it comes to, for example, asking, hey, why would you allow the state to do this? Why wouldn't you have established power of attorney for your mom maybe earlier before? What can you share with the audience about how complex the process is?
It's that complex. And you want to know what? I'm married to a lawyer. I consider myself a pretty smart human being. I've been around the block a lot of times, but I was very naive to how the system worked. And I did have a power of attorney, and that was stripped from me. So it's pretty unbelievable that the estate planning process that my mom initiated, what my mom's wishes were undermined by the state system and taken away from her. Her rights were not respected in this process. And it's something that you need to be aware of. With all the planning in the world, your rights can still be taken away. And that's why we really need more oversight. But I was completely naive. I actually allowed the guardian to be appointed, because to me, a guardian meant, a guardian angel, somebody coming down to help me fight back against the nursing home that was neglecting her, someone to fight back with me against them over medicating her. I thought this guardian was going to be a blessing, but what I didn't realize is she was just a product of a corrupt system that was going to be manipulated by lawyers who made headlines themselves. The lawyers involved in my case, they had a $16.4 million jury trial judgment against them for doing a family wrong in guardianship. Isn't it amazing that the Palm Beach Post and all the other press that covered my story didn't want to talk about that? You know why? Because they're tied to the Democratic Party.
Well, again, Karyn, it's unfortunate about what's going on with this story. And certainly, I know you're working very closely with the Center for Estate Administration Reform. Very quickly, this Saturday is the big march. Where can our viewers find out more information? Any links very quickly?
Please be a part of this with me. Be a part of history, because we are going to make history on Saturday. Go to 1776foreverfree.com and you can get all the details of the Freedom Tour. We're going to start out at noon at the Washington Monument, and we're going to march to Lafayette Square. And at Lafayette Square, you'll get to see not only me, but great personalities like Bryson Gray, Joy Villa, and so many patriots. They're going to take the stage in the name of freedom, and you're going to be a part of history. So I would love for everyone to be there with us.
Karyn, I wish you the best of luck. I know there'll be a great turnout on Saturday. The weather looks like it's going to cooperate with you. I'm sure there'll be a plethora of media coverage. Best of luck to you. Congratulations on being an advocate and a voice for so many Americans that I know are suffering through the same thing you've gone through, and I'm sure we'll continue to go through. Thank you so much for joining us here today on Liquid Lunch.
Thank you so much for having me. Have a great day.
All right, Karyn, thank you so much. Folks, once again here at Liquid Lunch, Woman Wednesday. I'm Fernando Uribe filling in for the great John Tobacco. We'll be right back on Biz TV. And of course, we're still here on Facebook Live. We'll return right after this.